So we're recording. Welcome everybody to Zoom Tuesday at the Capitol. It is Tuesday, April 20th, and it's week 16 of the legislative session. The Minnesota Brain Injury Alliance and its citizen advocates gather on Zoom every Tuesday to talk about what's happening at the legislative session and to think about and plan and execute ways that we can have an impact on the policymaking process. So we start each Tuesday with a quick update in terms of what's happening. And so I will provide that update. While that's being recorded, I'll ask all you guys to please silence your microphones, and then we'll open it up for questions in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so. So the legislative session right now currently is moving fast and furious in the budget making process. I think, as you recall, last week was the week after the final committee deadline for all the budget bills. And so within the last week, those bills have begun moving on the Senate and House floors. And so it's basically all the processing of the omnibus bills. And each area of the budget basically has its own omnibus bill. You have a Health and Human Services omnibus bill, you have a K-12 education omnibus bill, you have a higher education omnibus bill, transportation, on and on. There's about a dozen of these omnibus bills. Both the House and the Senate proceed with their omnibus bills, and whoever gets done first then sends their bill over to the other body, and that other body can either say, that's bill is better than ours, we'll support it, hardy har har, or they say, you know what, we like our bill better, and they'll send that one back. And so they're in the process of moving those bills through the floor and shuffling them back and forth at this point in time. There's no rule about which bills go first, but I can tell you, given the nature of politics, that they usually do the easier bills first and the harder bills first. And so Health and Human Services, which is one of the biggest bills, along with K-12 education, those two bills make up about 2/3 of the state budget. You add higher education and you're up even higher, closer to 3/4 of the state budget, are usually last ones to go. So let me give you an update on where there's 4 major bills, omnibus bills, that we have items in that we're closely tracking and following this session. And let me give you an update on where all those are. And I'll try to stay out of the weeds and save any questions that you guys might have for specific process questions or specific elements questions for after I shut off the recording. So let's start with the transportation bill, because that's the first one on my list here. That transportation bill is authored by Frank Hornstein in the House and Senator Scott Newman in the Senate. And it passed the House floor on Saturday. They actually spent about 7 hours on Saturday, and they passed that bill. And it is currently awaiting action in the Senate. At the beginning of the meeting, during conversation, you may have heard Joy provide an update where her senator has offered to amend that bill to include Joy's provision that we've all been supportive of, to require training for Metro transit drivers. And so we are expecting that amendment will come forward on the floor. We don't know yet if the Republicans will accept that amendment. There's no testifying or any of that kind of stuff. That's what I think is going to happen. And we don't know when that's coming up. It's not today. We've seen the Senate schedule for today. So it could come up tomorrow, it could come up Thursday, or potentially Friday, but we'll see most of these bills move in the next couple of days. So we'll be watching for that. That bill also has a few things in it regarding the DWI reinstatement fee, which funds programs at the Minnesota Department of Health, and a contract that actually the Minnesota Brain Injury Alliance has that's funded through that. And there are some changes to that which allow people to make those payments in installments. And we think that's actually going to be beneficial because more people will reinstate their driver's license and we'll have fewer people driving unlicensed. So there's some good things going on in that bill there. The House and Senate judiciary bills include pieces of Cassie's law. I won't go into the weeds here, but we were not able to get the bill passed as we had hoped, in terms of, actually having neuropsychological evaluations required and paid for. in the bill. We have a couple of provisions, one in each bill, that keeps it alive, and we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. But it's better to have something in each bill than nothing in each bill, even though it doesn't guarantee anything, and it certainly doesn't guarantee that we're going to get exactly what we want. Um, but it is encouraging. In the Senate bill, we have a study where they've allocated some money to study whether or not neuropsychological evaluations could have a positive impact in this. And in the House, since one committee didn't fund it, the other committee said, well, we'll go back to the original language, and we will require the counties to pay for it. That's what's often referred to as an unfunded mandate. And so we don't know exactly how those two things are going to get settled out. I can tell you that this is a one, I have to be careful how I say this. It's one small thing in a huge controversial bill. And it's not small, to Tim Berry or Cassie or the people that are affected by it. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the issue's small. I'm saying that it's wrapped completely up in the politics right now of public safety and policing. And, whether you're pro police or you wanted to fund the police, and all the fighting that the Republicans and Democrats are doing over the police issues right now, especially given the heightened climate that we have right now. That bill has a lot of, I don't know, high temperature issues in it, and how that gets settled and how that gets worked out. We don't know. And so where we stand as a small component in this giant fight over policing, it's just hard to predict, but it's there. Our authors know it's there, and they're supportive of it, and we're going to work to push it through. So anyways, that was probably a little more information than you need, but that's where it is. The other budget bill that we're watching, there's two more, is the higher education budget. And you guys might recall that that's where the funding is for the Traumatic Brain Injury and Spinal Cord Injury Research Fund that we've been supportive of. And that bill that grant program was initially proposed by the governor to be cut. The governor proposed cutting it. The governor has since backed off that proposal. The funding actually remains intact right now. In fact, in the Senate version of the bill, it actually has a small one-time 1-year increase. Since we have a surplus right now, they're giving them an extra couple $1 million just for this year. So that's encouraging. That bill has passed the Senate floor. The Senate sent it over to the House. The House sent their bill back to the Senate. The Senate's appointed a conference committee, and it's scheduled for it passed the House. Well, passes the House floor yesterday. So the House now will appoint a conference committee. So that's the first bill that we have stuff in that's going to see a conference committee. So we'll see the conference committee members announced for the House sometime today. I'm guessing they actually go into session. They're in session right now, so they very well could have appointed that conference committee already. But they will appoint that conference committee this morning. There'll be 10 people that'll work that out, and we're safe for the moment. That leaves the Health and Human Service bill, omnibus bills. And you guys probably remember me talking about this. It gets really complex really fast, but there were 4 bills to start with, 2 in the House, 2 in the Senate. One bill was a health bill and one bill was a human services bill. They have since been combined into a health and human services bill. So there's one health and human services bill in the Senate. There's one health and human services bill in the House. Neither of those bills has seen any floor action yet, and neither of them are scheduled at this point, to my knowledge. And typically, based on experience, those are one of the last bills to go, simply because they're so deep and complex. The House Ways and Means Committee did yank the bill back this morning because there's this federal money coming in from the American Recovery Act, the ARA or whatever. If you love acronyms, the stage 3, the Biden stimulus, whatever. There's a lot of federal money coming in. And there's different things that the state has to do to qualify for that federal money. And so there always some complexity or something they forgot or something they got to do. So they had to yank it back into committee, fix it, and send it back out. So we'll see action on those bills real soon. Those bills are 900,000 page bills. So if you're looking for some light reading before bed, you can look at those. I wouldn't print them. Price of printer ink is pretty high. But at any rate, those are moving, forward, and we'll be spending a lot of time watching those. So, been long floor sessions, long floor fights. I think yes, was it Friday? There was 87 amendments or something to a bill. They quit about midnight and came back on Saturday. Yesterday wasn't quite as bad, but long floor sessions are the order of the day right now. And so, anyways, transportation bill, judiciary bill, higher ed bill, and health and human services bill. That's your update on what's happening with those bills. And by this point next week, we should be in conference committee. Maybe not quite with health and human services. That could get pushed. I could see that getting pushed off till next week. But I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that. If you want to watch any of those floor fights, turn on your TV. It's quite entertaining. And so with that, that's the update for the week. I'm going to turn off the recording and see what kind of questions we have.